Holy City Center Radio, it's episode 85. I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. Hope you all had a great Valentine's Day, whether you celebrated it or not, whether you're with somebody or not. Hope it was a good day. Hopefully you got to have a little bit of candy or something sweet at least. Before we dive into today's headlines, I just wanted to let you know that today is the official first day that you can vote for the finalists in the Charleston City Paper's 2023 Best of Charleston Awards. As of this recording, I don't have an official word of anything, so I can't say how many or which, but please know that my understanding is Holy City Center will be included. So when you take a look at those ballots, if you see Holy City Center on there, please vote for me. I would really, really appreciate it. It's always fun to vote in these things. You know, lots of awesome businesses out there that deserve to be recognized. Friends of mine, I love being able to vote for them and see them get recognition in their respective categories as well. So be sure to go check that out and get voting. You have until I think it's going to be March 8th, is my understanding, will be the last day to vote. So you have a little bit of time, but don't forget to do it. Make sure your favorite places win an award this year. All right, enough shamelessly asking for your votes, which I do appreciate, by the way. It's time to get into the news. So Monday's episode, I wasn't able to talk about the Super Bowl because I recorded it before it actually happened. I'm not going to dive into it, too much, but there is something notable about the game, which, by the way, was incredible. The Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35. Game was played in Arizona. It looked like the weather was beautiful. Rihanna was the halftime performer, did a great job. She was freaking pregnant, putting aside the whole talent singing thing that I don't possess, I couldn't do any of that stuff, and I'm not pregnant at all, so I don't know how she did it. So that was a pretty cool moment to see that at the very beginning. But anyway, two Lowcountry natives will be bringing home Super Bowl rings after the victory. Fort Dorchester alum Carlos Dunlap and Cross alum Rod Wilson were each part of the championship team from Kansas City. Dunlap had 2 hits on Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts during the victory. Meanwhile, Wilson, who he's actually an assistant coach for Kansas City, and this will be his second Super Bowl ring. He was an assistant with the team when they won the Super Bowl 4 years ago. So congratulations to both of them. Cool to see some, people from the area on the football's biggest stage. The Eagles also had some folks with Lowcountry ties. Unfortunately, they were unable to win the Super Bowl for them. But Fort Dorchester alum and actually Carlos Dunlap's high school teammate, Robert Quinn, played for Philadelphia. Unfortunately, like I said, for him, unable to secure the victory. West Ashley alum Brett Toth is also on the Eagles roster, but did not play in the game due to injury, so he was unable to participate. But so several people involved in the game from this area, which is pretty cool. We've all made mistakes at work, right? Silly little errors, whatever it may be. Imagine making a $3.5 billion accounting mistake, and you work for the state. Well, that's exactly what happened. A $3.5 billion with a B accounting mistake over 10 years by State Comptroller General Richard Eckstrom may lead to a legislative reckoning as calls for his resignation continue to mount. His office is in charge of authorizing state expenditures. He admitted last week that the state had overstated its cash balances by that $3.5 billion total over the last 10 years because of a double reporting error mentioned in some of its spending. So not great. Now, some points to make here before we get into it a little bit, but state budget experts told the Charleston City Paper that they wanted to emphasize that this error isn't any kind of shortfall. This is not like the state lost this money or anything, but the Comptroller General's office just basically counted money that was transferred to the state's colleges and universities twice as a new computer system was installed. It wasn't caught initially, and it kept making the same assumption year after year, and that's what the error is. So no one's affected as far as residents or anything like that. No money is missing. It was just an accounting error. Double counting is essentially how they described it. State Senator Larry Groom said to the Post and Courier, quote, as more information is brought to light, I suspect that there will be a call for all sorts of things. This may prove to be the largest accounting error in the history of accounting errors, end quote. It's quite the statement. Yeah, it's a big boo-boo. Thankfully, it appears, like I said, on our level, residents, the people of the state, it's not going to affect us in any way. But is there potential problems that maybe they didn't foresee? Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens as they look into this some more. But yeah, that's a big boo boo to make. Of course, as every episode, the Murdaugh trial is continuing, so that means I have to continue providing updates to you all, of course. So, as of this recording, I didn't really think anything too groundbreaking has come to light during Monday and Tuesday's hearings. Again, up until the point of recording, there were several forensic experts that took the stand, and they were mostly focusing on blood and DNA evidence. And from my understanding and what little clips I caught, they're really getting into the weeds on this kind of stuff, and there's a lot of questions to kind of establish the background. And yeah, it's if you've ever watched other trials where DNA evidence was played a heavy part in the trial, you know what I'm talking about. It can be painful to watch and pretty boring. So nothing too groundbreaking or surprising came out of that. I did see that Maggie's sister was about to take the stand when I was getting ready to record. I'm sure there might be something interesting that she said, and if that is the case, or whatever else happens the rest of today, I'll be sure to share that on Friday's episode. But there was something interesting that occurred. On Monday, George Clifton Newman revealed that 2 jurors had been dismissed after testing positive for COVID-19. Those jurors were replaced with alternates, which now leaves only 3 alternates remaining. So now there's some concern. 2 jurors had COVID. Could all the others get it? And if we run out of alternates, what are we going to have to do here? So it could cause a really big issue. All of the jurors will be tested again today. So they weren't tested on Tuesday. So today will be the next time. We'll see if anybody else has since gotten COVID. And like I said, this could cause a real big issue. The clerk of court had also tested positive for the virus, by the way. Now, Judge Newman did reject suggestions from both the defense and prosecution to delay the trial until the second round of tests today, or reduce the over 200 people allowed to attend the trial each day. Or another suggestion was to order everyone in the courtroom to wear masks other than when they are testifying, or if they're the attorneys when they're questioning. Judge denied all those, said they're going to go forward, see how Wednesday goes. So we'll see. It could get really, really interesting if more people test positive in that juror pool, because, like I said, they only have 3 alternates left, and it could lead to something pretty interesting. So be on the lookout for that. So the Charleston Police Department's increased weekend parking enforcement measures went into effect last week. You may remember me talking about that. They began as scheduled on this past Thursday night. And over the course of this first weekend, with the new rules regarding parking along certain segments of King Street, the city says that only 8 cars had to be towed from those prohibited spaces. No cars were towed on Thursday night. 2 were towed on Friday, and then a total of 6 on Saturday night, bringing us that total of 8 for the entire weekend. These rules are part of the police department's larger King Street safety plan, which also includes stepped up police patrols, better lighting, and changes in the street's traffic patterns as well. They're closing down streets, they're directing traffic in opposite ways at certain points in time. So there's all sorts of different things that are going on. But this was the big one that could really affect people. I'm glad to see it was only 8 cars that had to be towed. Hopefully that number will go down as people start to adjust to this new policy. And no one wants their car towed. What a hassle, how much money it's going to be. So for an update on those rules, you can go to holycitycenter.com. I've got a post about the rules regarding parking, but basically Thursday to Saturday from 6 p.m., starting at 6 p.m., you're not supposed to be parking along the busiest part of King Street. Basically from Spring to John Streets are where you cannot park on King Street. there's signs and all sorts of other things. There's also in bars and restaurants, there's flyers that may be posted. They were given out to employees. But just in case you don't see any of those, yeah, Thursday through Saturday from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m., no parking along that area. So just keep that in mind. It's still well over a year away, but the 2024 presidential election is already starting to gear up. We have another entry, and this one you may be familiar with. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley on Tuesday announced that she will be running for President of the United States in 2024. So she'll be taking on, at this moment, former President Donald Trump, who has also announced that he would be running. Several other Republicans are expected to announce, but that's where we're at so far. Haley made the announcement initially on social media, posting a video, which you can see if you would like to, on her different social media channels or on holycitycenter.com. Haley, besides being governor of South Carolina, also served as a U.S. ambassador to the United States under former President Donald Trump. So it'll be interesting that she'll be going head to head against her old boss, excuse me. And for those who don't remember, Nikki Haley was our governor here from 2011 to 2017. The Charleston Fire Department is investigating a structure fire that took place on Mary Street on Monday night. The officials say they received multiple calls just after 7:30 p.m. about a fire that had started at a vacant commercial building between King and Meeting Streets. This structure, by the way, had previously been deemed unsafe, according to the Charleston Fire Department. Thankfully, adjacent properties were not damaged. When I saw some videos on social media and read how many different agencies were responding, I was very worried that this could turn into a pretty big fire affecting multiple buildings. So thankful to hear that they, kind of kept it to that one building, which also thankfully was abandoned. Stinks to see a structure go up in flames like that. But again, thankfully, no one was in there, so no one's losing a home or business or anything like that. Unfortunately, one firefighter did have to be transported by EMS, but the fire department says this was out of an abundance of caution, and the firefighter was released from the hospital a little bit later in the evening, so everything seems to be okay there. Now, the Charleston Fire Marshal Division is requesting the public's assistance with photos or videos that any of you may have taken near the area to assist with reconstructing the event timeline. So if you have any pictures from Monday night in that area, that may be able to help them piece together when, the fire was started. Maybe they already have an idea of what started it, and they're just trying to piece together to try to find who started it, if that is what may have happened. So they're definitely looking into it. So be sure to contact the Charleston Fire Department if you have any pictures or information about what occurred on Monday. 2 women are facing drug trafficking charges after they were found in possession of more than 100 pounds of marijuana at Charleston International Airport. This is all according to an incident report from the Aviation Authority Police. The police estimate that the contraband was worth about $114,000. Both suspects were arrested and transported to the Al Cannon Detention Center, where they were each booked on one count of trafficking marijuana in first offense. I say this story because, one, there was a podcast, a few weeks ago, where there was 2 stories just like this, where those stories were 2 different men in each of the stories. Also, same thing, caught in the airport with many pounds of cannabis. I don't believe either of them were close to 100. So that was another reason. This was just like, holy cow, how do you try to bring 100 pounds of anything? But drugs that are illegal in this state. What are you thinking? What are you doing? Stop trying to bring pounds and pounds of drugs through the airlines to South Carolina. Maybe it's working for some people, but this is the 3rd story that I've caught. I'm sure there's more, or ones that don't make it to coverage by local media because it's a smaller amount. It's not as shocking to see it in a headline. Stop trying to do it, people. They're obviously looking for it. It's obviously not a good idea. It's illegal. You're gonna get in trouble. All right, that's my PSA. Don't bring drugs to South Carolina. And last story today, South Carolina Democrats plan to announce a bill on Tuesday in their latest efforts to protect a woman's right to an abortion in South Carolina. South Carolina House Democrats, led by Representative Spencer Wetmore, were planning on holding a press conference to announce the details of the bill to protect choice. A spokesperson for the House Democrats described the bill as a comprehensive piece of legislation that includes, quote, protections for in vitro fertilization and birth control, as well as reproductive freedom, end quote. As of this recording, I had not seen the proposal, so I don't have really any details on it. Once I see it, I will be sure to share it all with you. But they were supposed to have that press conference on Tuesday. If there's any changes in that, I'll let you know as well. So you can probably piece this together. Democrats are trying to introduce legislation to counter the fact, well, there's actually two, but one in each side of the legislature. Two dueling abortion ban bills by South Carolina Republicans. This is the Democrats' response to it, trying to protect reproductive freedom. As usual, I'll keep you up to date. All right, that'll do it for Wednesday, February 15th. I hope you all have a great day and awesome rest of your week. Next time you'll hear from me will be on Friday. So just a couple days away from the weekend already. You gotta love it. Thank you for listening. If you want to help out, please rate and review this podcast. You can also share it with friends, family, anyone you think would enjoy listening to it. I can also urge you to subscribe to the podcast, which will make sure you don't miss any episodes and you can stay up to date on all of the news. You can also help by going to holycitycenter.com/shop to pick up some merchandise, or go to patreon.com/holycitycenter to become a patron. And of course, you can also help now by going to the Charleston City Paper's website, clicking on over to their Best of Charleston awards voting, and vote for any category you see Holy City Center in. I'll give you more details on that on Friday. And as always, you can help me out liking, retweeting, sharing stories, whatever it may be on social media. That helps Holy City Center out as well. Lastly, before I say goodbye to you all, we have to say a huge thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins of LMC Sound System for producing each and every episode of this podcast, and to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every episode. Until I talk to you on Friday, good night and good luck.